Good morning. You know that old song that goes, War, huh, good go, yo. But it isn't good for absolutely nothing. Say it again, yo. I was thinking, is that true? I mean, if you look at those words with unbiased eyes, they kind of have a twist. Because war is actually good for something. It's just not good for you or me or the people who end up fighting it. War is good for a tiny fraction of humanity that profits from war, who profits from the chaos that war brings. They're the same ones that profit from monopolies and national distraction networks. Because in war, everybody else gets the bill and the trauma. I mean, this isn't too hard to see. All you have to do is follow the flow of cash when war happens. And you can go back in history and look at this. And when you do, it starts to look like a self-perpetuating cycle of capital growth, just with high chances of death and destruction. Usually the causes of war are just a big distraction because at the end of the day, it all comes down to profit. Governments have known for most of history how to stay 10 steps ahead of the people that they govern. That way, when the domestic situation gets shaky or the wealth gets too concentrated, they can start to point the finger at some outside force. And then everybody's attention is there. Instead of domestic issues, it shifts to foreign issues. I mean, there's nothing better to pull the public's attention away from rent extraction, monopolies, or fighting for a living wage than war. Nothing like an inspiring speech about defending the nation from villains who supposedly threaten our freedom. You can get away with a lot when the public is busy yelling at some external enemy instead of the internal enemies. War is like a going out of business sale. Get your rock bottom prices here. Rock bottom prices not for the guys with the guns in their hands, not for the families who sent those guys there, but rock bottom prices for the people that already own half of the country before the war even starts. They could not care less about glory or who wins the war. They don't give a shit about some flag fluttering majestically in some campaign ad. What gets their blood moving is much simpler. Contracts handed out in a panic as war comes, or bonds yielding fat returns, and a frenzy of speculation that turns every crisis into a payday. When the people who live in these places that are involved in the war start rationing their supplies and living on less, experiencing cutbacks, but the people who profit from war, they're fattening up as they swallow up all the things that the people rationing can't afford anymore. And the soldiers that actually go fight in the war, they come home if they're lucky with a pat on the back and then taxes for life to pay for that war that he had to fight in. So war for the working people of this world, the people that actually have an income that shows, war for them brings literally zero benefits. Negative benefits, actually. No matter how you look at it. Everybody's going to end up paying for that war. But to the ones that own the war machine that transforms humans into capital, well, it's like Black Friday for them. Economic inequality is like a field of long, dry grass. The smallest spark would set it all on fire. Or in other words, turn what looks like stability into chaos. And when the government decides that they want a war, let's say maybe up to 10 years before they actually have it. They just got to spark that grass, watch it all burn, and then just sit back as people come out of the grass to sign up for the military because it's the best option. It's the only thing left. That's why the size of our military has increased 40% in the last 10 years. All you got to do is just cut off opportunity and voila, military recruitment is up. In any country, when people are struggling, the leaders of that country, they got two choices always. They could fix the economic structure that created this inequality in the first place, or they could distract the public with, say, a war. Guess which option preserves the privileges of the elite? Before we started to pretend that we don't understand geopolitics, most of us kind of knew that the poor man always dies in the rich man's war. This is a really old saying. It's like we've known for a long time that war is just between rich people. But the rich people never die in the war. It's only the poor people who die. I mean, this shit seems so backwards. We teach kids to not fight in school, yet killing people in some faraway place is somehow justified? It seems like a huge lack of understanding going on there. Huge lack of understanding. So obviously, war is not some random tragic event that just comes out of nowhere. It is a predictable output of a system designed to concentrate wealth and power. I mean, time and time again, this has happened in every empire in the history of humankind. I mean, high concentrations of wealth in few hands creates the entire motivation for war. Because once these guys get so much power, they need to cover their tracks before everybody starts knocking at their door to cut their heads off or something. So big wars are used to shift the attention to new elites. Elites that become the best gamblers in the war. Like a horse race. Whichever one bets on the right horse, or the group of people that bet on the right horse, become the winners. But if we rip out the roots underneath these motivations, which are the same motivations that got us to colonize the planet, which is the hoarding of natural resources and land, we drain the incentives for nations to fight in the first place. It's not even human nature that causes war. I mean, human nature can cause a fight between people, but a war of millions of people against other millions of people, that's not human nature. It's human systems that create large-scale war. Systems that we create that incentivize greed and hoarding of natural resources. I mean, you give humanity the opportunity to be greedy, and some of them will be. Most of them won't, but some will. So what if, the most of us that aren't greedy, we just accept it as human nature. We just say, yes, we can all be greedy. So let's make a system that takes that into account. That doesn't put a fucking pile of money on the other side of military investment. If you want peace, and by peace I don't mean world peace, I mean, neighbors are going to still have arguments, or People are going to need to settle things. There's going to be bar fights and shit like that still. But this large-scale fucking human slaughterhouse, if you want to end that, it doesn't start with treaties. But we could start with justice. We could start with an economy where wealth comes from production, not ownership. We could start with a society where opportunity is not locked behind a fucking paywall at every fucking level. A paywall from homeless to poor, a paywall from poor to middle, a paywall from middle to upper middle. Blah, blah, blah. An economy built on those terms wouldn't have the machinery or the motivation for large-scale conflicts. There'd be no fucking profit in it. Imagine a weapons company in an economy where the only thing that's taxed is the land value. And if you degrade land value, you pay more tax. So if you're going to build bombs that destroy land, well, you have to pay an upfront cost for building that bomb. So when your bomb destroys that land, we already got the money sitting there ready to repair that land and to compensate the families that you murdered. Just, oh, okay, you want to build a bomb? Okay, how much damage is that going to do? Oh, all right, ding, ding, ding. Give us the tax first. Then you could build all the bombs you want. So, war is good for something. It's great for propping up the parasitic class of humanity that we haven't been able to shake in generations and millennia. The same ones that keep pretending that they're the guardians of civilization. Guardians that, by the way, humanity never fucking asked for. So war is not a possibility. It's inevitable. Until we all decide that we've had enough war, enough of the lies, enough of the fucking division between each other, enough of the investment strategy we keep paying into to boost someone else's return using the blood of our families. You know, when we all decide to fucking come together and ignore the fucking noise between us, that's all it is noise. Nothing will fucking stand in our way. We will have more power than any rich person because we won't have a fucking leader that you can assassinate. We'll all be fucking leaders. We'll all be part of a government that we all participate in, where we all decide our destiny, not just a handful of people. Then finally, humanity would be able to step forward without the privately owned chains that keep us trapped in this cycle. All right, thanks for watching my video. Please share. See you tomorrow. Peace.